without the Machiavelli. Niccolò Machiavelli observed, "It is a common fault of men to take no thought of storms in fair weather." Niccolò Machiavelli. Chapter 1. The Respect Lie. The respect lie. They tell you it's a gift, a reward. They lie. I will show you how respect is truly acquired, how it's held, and how it's stolen. Your respect is not a gift people choose to bestow. It is a resource, a finite commodity, constantly under threat. They tell you it's earned through kindness, through seeking approval, through being liked. This is a lie. Right now, you are bleeding respect without even knowing it, draining your influence with every misguided attempt to gain it. Understood what most Machiavelli, understood what most still refuse to see. Respect is not given. It is taken, often through subtle, ruthless shows of power, or the stark refusal to beg for it. In Renaissance Florence, a man of power and influence, suddenly cast out, exiled, stripped of his position. He could have pleaded, he could have tried to win back favor with apologies and explanations. Instead, he withdrew, he observed. He analyzed the raw mechanics of human ambition and fear, distilling them into principles that still shape empires. Understood that trying to convince people to respect you is the fastest way to lose what little you have. The true respect lie is the belief that explaining yourself builds bridges. It doesn't. Every time you explain yourself, you move from an offensive position to a defensive one. The moment they know you need their understanding, they have leverage over you. You reveal your insecurities, your need for validation, and in that vulnerability, your power diminishes. You become a book they can read, a game they can predict. Watch what happens when you try to justify a decision. You offer reasons, you present arguments, you invite debate, you open the door for counter-arguments, for doubts, for 1,000 tiny cuts that bleed your authority dry. People don't respect your reasons. They respect your resolve. They respect the quiet confidence that needs no explanation. They respect the person who simply acts. Here's how you reclaim that ground. Stop explaining. When you make a decision, make it. When you set a boundary, enforce it. Do not elaborate. Do not defend. Your actions are the only explanation needed. Let the outcome speak for itself. Your energy, your time, your focus, these are not endless resources to be spent on convincing others of your worth or the validity of your choices. If you announce your intentions with fanfare, you invite opposition. People will organize against you, dissect your plans, look for weaknesses. But if you quietly execute, if you present them with a new reality, there's nothing to argue with, only a situation to accept. This quiet, unyielding force is what commands genuine, grudging respect. It is the silent declaration of your unwavering will. This applies not just to grand strategies, but to your daily interactions. When someone questions your behavior or your choices, a simple, calm statement of fact is all that is required. This is what I decided. This is how it will be. Any further discussion is an invitation to erode your position. Learn this by watching princes rise and fall. The strongest leaders did not negotiate their authority. They asserted it. This refusal to over-explain is a shield. It keeps your vulnerabilities hidden. It keeps your intentions opaque. It forces others to deal with the facts you present, not the narrative you choose to spin. When you reveal less, you remain unpredictable. And unpredictability breeds caution and respect. They cannot exploit what they do not understand. Think about the people you genuinely respect. Are they the ones who constantly seek your approval, who detail every motive? Or are they the ones who move with quiet conviction, whose actions are clear, whose words are few? The latter projects an inner strength that doesn't require external validation. This is the person who understands the true nature of power. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. What he understood is that true power, true respect, comes from an internal locus, from an unwavering commitment to your own principles, independent of what others think or demand. The moment you compromise that, you offer them a piece of your soul and they will take it. The illusion is that you can talk your way into respect. You cannot. You can only act your way into it, or refuse to act in ways that diminish it. This principle, the quiet assertion of your will without explanation, is the first law. But there's another trap that drains your respect, one that most people fall into every single day without even realizing it. What is it? Chapter 2. The invisible chains. Invisible chains. The world preaches kindness, understanding. They want you disarmed. But true power isn't built on smiles. It's built on a chilling truth, on what you don't say. It's called the invisible chains. This isn't about affection. It's about implied threat, the silent understanding that there are consequences for disrespecting you. The world tells you to be kind, to be understanding, to build bridges. This is how they disarm you. They want you to believe that warmth equals loyalty, that a friendly smile means genuine regard. It doesn't. Picture Vlad the Impaler in medieval Wallachia, facing the invading Ottoman army. He didn't send flowers. He sent a message that froze armies in their tracks. As the Ottoman forces advanced, they found not a battle, but a forest. 20,000 impaled prisoners rotting on stakes. This was not an act of hate. It was a calculated display of power, a brutal lesson in the cost of defiance. Vlad the Impaler understood that true control, true respect, does not come from being loved. It comes from being feared, from the absolute certainty that crossing you carries an unbearable price. His enemies didn't respect him because they liked him. They respected him because the alternative was horrifying. They obeyed not out of devotion, but out of a primal understanding of the consequences. This is the essence of the invisible chains. They are not physical. They are psychological. They are forged by the quiet, unwavering application of consequences when your boundaries are crossed. When you fail to set these consequences, when you tolerate disrespect, you teach others that your limits are suggestions, not laws. You teach them that your respect is cheap, easily earned, and even more easily lost. Think about the weak manager who tries to be everyone's friend. Their team laughs with them, but work is neglected, deadlines are missed, and processes are ignored. There is no fear of repercussion, no understanding of what happens when the line is breached. Their attempts at camaraderie are met with contempt, not compliance. Here's how you forge your own invisible chains, not with stakes, but with an unbending will. When someone disrespects your time, you don't argue. You simply remove your time. If a friend consistently takes advantage, you don't confront them endlessly. You reduce your availability, you withdraw your energy, you make the cost of their behavior clear, not with words, but with action. This is the quiet, brutal calculus of power. You don't need to announce your rules or issue threats. Your actions, or the sudden absence of your cooperation, speak volumes. They create a psychological barrier, a silent understanding that certain behaviors will simply not be tolerated. What happens when you constantly explain your feelings, your reasons, your boundaries? You invite negotiation, you signal weakness, you give them a chance to argue, to justify, to find a loophole. Every explanation is an invitation to debate your worth, to question your authority. But when you simply act, when you quietly enforce the consequence without a word, there is no room for debate. There is only the cold, hard reality of the outcome. They tried to disrespect you, and now something they valued, something they relied on, is gone. This is a lesson etched into their memory, far more powerful than any lecture. Vlad the Impaler didn't waste time negotiating with his enemies. He displayed the outcome of their choices. He made the consequences so stark, so undeniable, that the message permeated every fiber of their being. He understood that deterrence is more potent than open conflict. The wise man does not seek to be loved by all. He seeks to be respected by all. A respect born from the knowledge that violating his space or his standards comes at a cost. Your quiet, consistent enforcement of consequences shapes the behavior of those around you. They learn, they adapt, they respect the line you draw. As Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. What he understood is that the most powerful victory comes from deterring conflict before it even begins, by making the cost of engagement too high. Your invisible chains work the same way, creating a perimeter of respect that few dare to cross. They may not like you, but they will never forget what happens when they cross you. This is the difference between a fleeting friendship and an unshakable reputation. This is how you control the narrative without speaking a single word. But these chains, strong as they are, can still be broken by another insidious leak. A leak that drains your energy, your focus, and your ultimate power. What is it? Chapter 3, The Masked Intent. Exposed intentions, a fatal flaw. You reveal your hand, and suddenly, every adversary knows your next move. Guard your secrets or forfeit your power. The greatest leak of all is the exposed intention. You think transparency builds trust, that sharing your blueprint makes you relatable, but this is a lie that will leave you stripped bare. This is the trap of the masked intent, and the moment you fall into it, your power begins to drain. Watch what happens when you lay out your ambitions, your strategies, or even your vulnerabilities. They will not laud your honesty. They will not admire your openness. They will measure you, mark your weaknesses, and then they will wait for you to flinch, ready to exploit every raw nerve you exposed. Your candor becomes a weapon in their hands, sharp and precise. Picture Cardinal Richelieu in early modern France, consolidating an iron grip on a kingdom, rife with plotting nobles and ambitious upstarts. He didn't announce his purges with fanfare. He didn't debate his plans in public forums. Instead, he moved with a chilling, calculated silence, allowing his rivals to believe they understood his motives, even as he systematically dismantled their power bases. His true intentions remained hidden, a shadow play, until the final act. Every time you explain yourself, you move from an offensive position to a defensive position. The moment they know you need their understanding, they have a subtle, unspoken leverage over you. Your words become chains, binding you to their expectations, their interpretations, their judgment. You lose the element of surprise, the potent uncertainty that keeps others off balance. Here's how you operate with the masked intent. You cultivate an aura of deliberate ambiguity. You perform the actions required. You achieve the results demanded, but you never fully articulate the complex web of thought or the deeper strategies that underpin your moves. Let them speculate. Let them guess. Their guesses will always be more formidable than your explicit statements. Cardinal Richelieu understood that revealing your full hand only gives your enemies a target. He knew that the less people truly understood about his long-term agenda, the more they would fear the unknown implications of his immediate decisions. His power grew not from what he said, but from the chilling silence around his true goals, a silence that bred both respect and terror. Think about the leader who constantly announces their big vision months before acting. People will pick it apart, project their own anxieties onto it, and often sabotage it before it ever begins. But if you quietly build, layer by layer, revealing only completed stages, people are left with an accomplished fact. There is nothing to debate, only a reality to accept. This is why Julius Caesar made his moves without prior announcement, crossing the Rubicon not after a public debate, but as a decisive, unyielding act. He knew that announcing your intentions beforehand merely provides your adversaries with a roadmap to counter your advance. He acted, and only then did his enemies comprehend the gravity of his actions. What Caesar understood is that power lies in the fait accompli, not in the public declaration of intent. You do not need their validation, their approval, or their full comprehension. You need their compliance. You need their respect. By keeping your true intent masked, you deny them the intellectual weapons they would use to disarm you. You force them to react to your moves rather than anticipate them. When you announce your next big step, your critics will gather their stones. When you quietly execute your next big step, they are left standing in the dust, wondering what just happened. Your silence becomes your shield. Your ambiguity becomes your sword. Cardinal Richelieu cultivated this masterful control over perception. He taught his court to interpret his every subtle gesture, every measured word, allowing them to fill the void with their own anxieties and fears. This created a profound respect, not just for his intellect, but for his impenetrable will. They knew he was playing a game, but they never knew the rules or the final score. The less they know, the more they project. The more they project, the more they are consumed by their own fears, leaving you free to execute your precise, unannounced plays. This is not about deception for its own sake, but about strategic preservation of your operational freedom. Your true power lies in the things they cannot see, the strategies they cannot predict, the full scope of your ambition they can only glimpse in the shadows. Keep it that way. Keep them guessing. Your silence is your strength. But even a perfectly masked intent can be undone by another insidious trap. A trap that reveals your true worth, not through your words, but through your actions. What is it? Chapter 4, the immovable will. The immovable will, a shield or a gilded cage. Understand how your resolve, perceived or real, dictates your survival in a world eager to test your every limit. This is the trap of the immovable will. Your resolve is not just an inner state, it is a projection, a signal to every person who observes you. It marks your boundaries, your conviction, your true capacity to endure pressure. When that will falters, when your resolve cracks under scrutiny, every predator around you senses the weakness and moves in for the kill. Think about the people around you who command effortless respect. They don't achieve it by always winning, but by never breaking. They absorb blows, they stand firm. They present an impenetrable front, and their certainty becomes contagious, forcing others to align with their vision or be crushed by its unwavering momentum. Picture Napoleon Bonaparte in the Napoleonic era, standing on the frozen fields of Austerlitz. His army was outnumbered, facing the combined might of two empires, the Russians and the Austrians. The fog of war, the immense pressure of the continent's fate, the shivering anticipation of battle. Any sign of doubt from him would have shattered the morale of his soldiers, turning certain victory into a rout. But Napoleon Bonaparte did not flinch. He walked among his troops, calm, decisive, projecting an almost supernatural certainty in the face of overwhelming odds. He absorbed the fear, he dismissed the doubts, and he radiated an unshakable will that solidified his army's belief, turning them into an instrument of his singular purpose. What Napoleon Bonaparte understood is that true leadership, true power, comes from being the rock against which the waves break, not the ship tossed by the storm. Here's how you cultivate this immovable will. When confronted, when challenged, when situations escalate, stop the urge to react, stop the urge to react, stop the urge to explain, stop the urge to justify. Those are the moves of a defensive player, revealing your insecurity, your need for external validation. Each explanation is a concession, each justification a plea. Instead, absorb the pressure. Let their words, their accusations, their expectations wash over you like water on stone. Your silence becomes a wall. Your calm becomes a weapon. Your steady gaze, your controlled breath, your deliberate lack of immediate reaction. These things communicate a depth of resolve they cannot penetrate. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're planning, or if their attack even registered. Watch what happens when you refuse to be moved. When you stand firm, even in the face of their attempts to rattle you, they eventually retreat. They realize their tactics are useless. They see that your will is not negotiable. This quiet defiance, this refusal to engage on their emotional terms, establishes you as a force that cannot be swayed by cheap tricks or casual aggression. If you announce your intentions, people will dissect them, mock them, attempt to undermine them. But if you quietly set your course and simply begin to move, there's nothing for them to grab onto. There's nothing to argue against. Your actions become a statement, undeniable and unassailable, forging a reputation for absolute resolve. Consider Winston Churchill during the darkest days of World War II. When Britain stood alone, bombed nightly facing invasion, he did not waver. He spoke not of surrender, but of fighting on the beaches, in the fields, in the streets. His words, though stirring, were backed by an unyielding personal resolve that told the world Britain would rather burn than bend. He projected an immovable will, not because he was unafraid, but because he understood that fear, if shown, would become a national suicide. This projected resolve is not about stubbornness for its own sake, but about the strategic communication of your boundaries and your non-negotiables. It ensures that your resources are conserved, your energy focused, and your path cleared of those who would test your limits. Because when they know you will not break, they will stop trying to break you. But what happens when their attacks are more subtle, more insidious? What happens when they try to steal your time, your energy, your focus, not with direct confrontation, but with invisible drains? What is it? Chapter 5, The Silent Burden. Silent burdens. The weight of leadership is measured not by tears shed, but by the quiet strength to carry the unbearable. This is where true authority resides. Picture Marcus Aurelius in ancient Rome, the Antonine Plague tearing through the empire, stripping away lives, including many in his own family. The very foundations of his world were crumbling beneath his feet. Yet he continued to govern, to lead, to write his private philosophical reflections. He carried an immense silent burden. This is the ultimate wellspring of respect, enduring what others cannot without a single public complaint. Most people, when faced with even minor inconvenience, broadcast their pain. They seek validation. They demand empathy, sympathy, understanding. They want you to see their struggle, to acknowledge their suffering. But every time you announce your difficulties, you are not earning respect. You are draining your own power. You are showing them the cracks in your armor, the points of leverage they can exploit. They will not rush to help you. They will simply note your fragility, catalog your weaknesses for future use. Watch what happens when someone constantly vents about their job, their partner, their life. Every conversation becomes a therapy session for them, a recital of their woes. How do you truly see that person? Do you respect their resilience, or do you quietly categorize them as a drain, someone whose emotional needs you must constantly manage? You may offer shallow words of comfort, but deep down you perceive a weakness, a lack of self-sufficiency, a desperate need for external validation. This behavior erodes rather than builds your standing. Here's how you cultivate the silent burden. When hardship strikes, when the world demands its pound of flesh, you absorb it. You process it internally, you strategize, you adapt, you overcome. You do not advertise your wounds, your setbacks, or your emotional toll. You let your actions, your quiet perseverance, tell the story. The power isn't in escaping the struggle, it's in carrying it, without letting it crush your spirit publicly. Marcus Aurelius, despite the immense personal and political pressures of his reign, war, plague, betrayal, never descended into public lament. He knew that a leader, especially in crisis, must project an image of unwavering resolve. His private journal, the Meditations, was his only outlet for his deepest anxieties and philosophical struggles, never a public plea for pity or recognition. What he understood is that public suffering diminishes your authority. Silent endurance elevates it, transforming adversity into a hidden source of strength. The weak announce their struggles, hoping for rescue or applause. They mistake attention for respect. They believe vulnerability is a pathway to connection. when in fact, it often signals an opportunity for exploitation to those who watch you. They broadcast their pain to the world, seeking a handout of sympathy, believing that a shared burden is a lessened burden, but it is not. But the truly powerful internalize their battles. They wage war within, they strategize in silence, and when they emerge, they do so not with a sob story, but with quiet strength and an unshakable presence. Their resilience is self-contained. There's nothing to exploit in someone who does not bleed in public. There's nothing to pity in someone who simply does what must be done, no matter the cost. Consider Leonidas at Thermopylae. His 300 Spartans knew their fate was sealed. There were no pleas for mercy, no panicked cries, no public displays of fear. Their silence, their unyielding stance in the face of oblivion, was their final, terrifying act of defiance. Their enemies respected them, not because they fought, but because they fought to the last man without a single whimper, without exposing any crack in their resolve. They carried their burden of certain death with absolute terrifying silence. This internal fortitude, this capacity to bear immense weight without breaking, is what truly separates you. It makes you an enigma. It makes you formidable. Your quiet strength becomes your most potent weapon because it forces others to wonder what immense reserves you possess, what hidden power you wield. It cultivates an aura of invincibility. It signals that you are not easily broken, not easily manipulated. This is the ultimate secret of the silent burden. It transforms your private struggles into public respect without ever uttering a single word of complaint. It shows them you are a force of nature, not a victim of circumstance. But this silent strength can also be used against you if you're not careful. What happens when your very successes become a target? What happens when your quiet achievements draw the envy of those who wish to see you fall? Chapter 6. The Calculated Scarcity. Withdrawal, your ultimate weapon. Learn how deliberate absence, a rare glimpse, transforms you from accessible to indispensable. Master the art of calculated scarcity. The ultimate defense against envy, against the subtle undermining of your position, is found in the calculated withdrawal of your presence. Picture Louis XIV, in age of absolutism France, a monarch surrounded by a ravenous court, each noble jockeying for his attention. He understood that constant accessibility breeds contempt. Proximity diminishes awe. So, he built Versailles. He physically removed himself from the Parisian rabble, transforming his presence from a common sight into a rare, coveted event. This was the birth of the calculated scarcity, a deliberate reduction of your availability to amplify your perceived value. When you are always present, always available, always a click or a call away, you become a commodity. They stop seeing you as a rare resource and start treating you like tap water, always there, always flowing, easily taken for granted. Your time, your attention, your very being becomes cheapened because there is no effort required to access it. This destroys your respect, slowly, silently, like a drip eroding stone. What comes free is never truly valued. Watch what happens when you are constantly in their DMs, always picking up the phone, always agreeing to meet at a moment's notice. You become the go-to person for their convenience, not their admiration. They will drain you of your energy, your ideas, your peace, offering nothing substantial. They will use your accessibility as a sign of your desperation for their validation. This is why people walk all over you, why your boundaries are ignored, why your contributions are overlooked. Here's how you reclaim your power. You engineer your absence. This isn't rudeness, it's strategic unavailability. You control the channels of access to your time, your energy, your thoughts. Let calls go to voicemail. Respond to messages when it suits your schedule, not theirs. Make your presence an event, a deliberate choice, not an automatic response. Louis XIV did not simply vanish. He curated his appearances, making every audience a privilege, every invitation a testament to status. His court scrambled for scraps of his attention, not because he was cruel, but because he was scarce. If you announce loudly that you are too busy or setting boundaries, people will see it as a desperate plea for attention, a childish power play. They will resent it, challenge it, try to break through your flimsy walls. But if you quietly, consistently, are less available, there's nothing for them to fight against. There is no public declaration, only a noticeable shift in your reality. Your time becomes valuable not because you say it is, but because it demonstrably is. They feel the vacuum you leave, and in that absence, your true worth begins to register. What Louis XIV understood is that power is not about how much you give, but how much you withhold. He centralized the court's entire existence around the rare glimpses of him, turning his royal presence into the ultimate prize. Your value increases when it's not freely distributed to every outstretched hand. It creates a hunger, an anticipation, a respect for the effort required to reach you. Even the ancient Stoics, though focused on inner peace, understood the power of detachment from external demands. Seneca wrote that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. For Seneca, true richness comes from controlling your own resources, including your time and attention, rather than constantly chasing external approval. He advocated for a deliberate withdrawal from the ceaseless clamor of society, not to hide, but to cultivate a stronger, more self-possessed individual. This inner scarcity, this unwillingness to be constantly drained by others, translates directly into outer respect. This calculated scarcity is not about being arrogant, it's about self-preservation. It teaches them that you are a person of consequence, with demands on your time greater than their impulsive whims. It forces them to elevate their own game, to bring something genuinely valuable, if they wish to engage with you. This is how you stop being a commodity and start being a king. But what happens when you need to influence them without being seen as pulling strings? What happens when your power must be felt, but never explicitly shown? Chapter 7, The Decisive Blade. The decisive blade, it's not about finding the perfect weapon. It's about singular, brutal purpose. Cut the noise, choose your stroke, and strike. Picture Miyamoto Musashi in Edo period Japan, arriving late to his duel with Sasaki Kojia. He faced a master swordsman, yet Miyamoto Musashi carved a wooden sword from an oar. This was the decisive blade, unwavering commitment to a single brutal course of action, stripped of unnecessary thought. Cut through noise, internal and external, to strike with singular, undeniable force. Most people drown in indecision. They gather endless information, seek too many opinions, weighing every outcome until action passes. This dithering makes you appear weak. It signals your conviction is shallow, your will easily swayed. Resources drain, opportunities vanish, and respect erodes with every hesitation. Think about the person who talks endlessly about plans but never executes. They detail every step, every pitfall, every triumph, but remain glued to the starting line. They want to appear strategic, but only project fear. Others nod, internally dismissing them. Their grand pronouncements become background noise, a predictable pattern of inaction. Here's how you cultivate the decisive blade. Identify the core objective. Then, ruthlessly eliminate anything that does not directly serve it. Cut irrelevant meetings. Silence dissenting voices. Ignore data that clutters your mind. Miyamoto Musashi arrived with no armor, just wood and unshakable will. He stripped away the ceremonial to focus purely on the kill. If you announce every minor decision or half-formed idea, you invite endless debate and sabotage. People will pick apart your rationale, demand explanations, and inject doubts. But if you quietly commit to your path, clear your vision, then strike with overwhelming force, there's nothing to argue. Your action becomes an accomplished fact. They simply must accept. This cold, surgical efficiency earned Alexander the Great his legendary status. Faced with the Gordian knot, He didn't painstakingly unravel it. He simply drew his sword and cut through. What Alexander the Great understood is that sometimes complex problems demand the simplest, most brutal solution. Respect is earned through unassailable results, not elaborate maneuvering. Miyamoto Musashi, in Book of Five Rings, emphasized no mind, acting instinctively without conscious deliberation, having trained so thoroughly that correct action becomes automatic. This isn't thoughtlessness. It's eliminating mental friction, self-doubt that paralyzes lesser individuals. Your mind becomes a sharpened tool, not a debating chamber. The respect you gain is profound. It's based on an undeniable truth. You get things done. People may not always agree, but they will rely on your ability to deliver. When you say something happens, it happens. Your word becomes solid, backed by decisive action, not empty promises. Watch what happens when you consistently operate with such clarity. Others stop trying to distract you. They stop pulling you into their dramas. They approach you with greater purpose, understanding your time and attention are valuable, given only to matters of true consequence. You become a force, not a sounding board. Allowing emotions to cloud clarity is the worst thing. Anger, fear, insecurity, the rust that dulls your blade. They introduce doubt, compel impulsive moves, or lead to inaction. A decisive individual sees the situation for what it is, not what they wish, and acts without personal feelings. Your resolve must be colder than steel. When you prune away the unnecessary, the path forward becomes clear. By limiting options to the most effective route, you eliminate the tyranny of choice. This isn't rigidity, it's focus. You conserve mental energy, avoiding analysis paralysis that cripples so many, freeing you to commit fully to the chosen trajectory. This freedom from clutter, from endless possibilities, is liberating. It allows you to move with unmatched speed and agility. While others map out contingencies, you have already executed, achieved, and moved on. Your pace is relentless, leaving competitors struggling to keep up, perpetually behind your decisive advance. The ultimate power of the decisive blade lies not just in cutting problems, but in cutting through perceptions. They see a person who cannot be swayed, a force of nature whose direction is set and momentum unstoppable. This instills quiet reverence, a respect born of witnessing pure, unadulterated effectiveness. You become the definition of someone who simply gets things done. But even with a sharpened blade, the most powerful moves are often unseen, shifting the landscape without a visible strike. How do you master the hidden hand, shaping outcomes from the shadows, making your will manifest without ever appearing to exert it directly? Chapter 8, The Reputation Blueprint. Perception is power. Your reputation precedes you, a shadow or a shield. Master its design or be mastered by its deceit. Picture Otto von Bismarck in 19th century Prussia, faced with a delicate diplomatic crisis, receiving a telegram from King Wilhelm I. This was no ordinary message. It was the spark that could ignite war. Bismarck, rather than acting rashly, calmly edited the text, sharpening its tone, turning a harmless exchange into a perceived insult against France. What he understood is that your influence isn't just about your direct actions, but the reputation those actions forge, the blueprint of your character that precedes you. This is the power of the reputation blueprint. It's the invisible shield that stops challenges before they begin, the quiet authority that makes people align with your will without a word. Without it, you are constantly fighting uphill battles, negotiating, explaining, defending. You become a target for every opportunist, every boundary tester, every person looking for an easy win at your expense. They will prod, they will test your resolve, push your limits, see what they can get away with. If your previous responses have been inconsistent, if your consequences have been negotiable, they learn that your no means maybe. This slow erosion of your standing is a death by 1,000 cuts, leaving you vulnerable and perpetually drained. Think about the person who constantly complains about being disrespected, yet never truly enforces a boundary. They announce their displeasure, they threaten, but when the line is crossed again, nothing concrete happens. They are seen as all talk, their words hollow, their frustrations becoming background noise. The blueprint they've laid out is one of weakness and empty threats. Here's how you engineer a different blueprint. First, identify the core principles you will not allow to be breached. These are your non-negotiables. Second, the very first time one of these lines is crossed, you respond with a consequence. This response must be swift, clear, and non-negotiable, not fueled by emotion, but by cold, strategic enforcement. Otto von Bismarck understood this implicitly with the EM's dispatch. He wasn't merely manipulating a document, he was meticulously crafting a perception. By deliberately escalating the perceived slight, he solidified his reputation as a formidable statesman who would not back down, who could outmaneuver any opponent. His actions sent a clear signal: challenge Prussia, challenge Bismarck, and face calculated, decisive consequences. His strategy wasn't about shouting louder, it was about ensuring that his will manifested through the inevitable consequences of his engineered realities. This created a powerful pattern, a blueprint of his resolve. Each time you enforce a boundary, you add another line to your blueprint, showing precisely what happens when your authority is questioned. If you announce your boundaries with fanfare, people will view it as an invitation to test them. They will seek the loopholes, the exceptions, the moments of weakness. But if you quietly and consistently enforce, the message becomes undeniable. There is no debate, no argument, only the observed reality of what happens when you cross the line. This is how you shift from being a reactor to being a force that shapes the behavior of others. The legendary Mongol leader Genghis Khan mastered this on an epic scale. He didn't just conquer territories, he conquered minds. His reputation for swift, absolute, and often brutal consequences for defiance often led cities to open their gates without a fight. What he understood is that the greatest joy for a man is to defeat his enemies, to drive them before him, to take from them all that they possess. This wasn't just about the spoils. It was about demonstrating the futility of resistance, building an enduring psychological weapon. His blueprint was simple: resist and be destroyed, comply and survive. This reputation, broadcast through countless examples, became a self-fulfilling prophecy. It saved his armies time and resources, because the cost of defiance was so universally known and understood that it often negated the need for direct conflict. When your blueprint is clear, when the consequences are consistently delivered, your reputation speaks for itself. It becomes a silent enforcer, a psychological barrier that prevents most challenges from ever materializing. They don't need to test you because they already know the outcome. You have defined the terms of engagement. But there's another hidden mechanism, one that operates beneath the surface of conscious awareness, shaping perceptions and actions without a single word being spoken. What is it? Chapter 9, The Final Verdict. The final verdict? Terrifying, isn't it? To stand alone, to judge yourself. This, my friends, is where true power lies and where all respect is won or lost. That hidden mechanism is the absolute certainty of your self-defined value. It's the silent, unbreakable framework you construct within yourself, making you an unshakable force. Picture Friedrich Nietzsche in 19th century Germany, proclaiming, "God is dead," to a world still clinging to old certainties. He wasn't just making a theological statement. He was issuing a profound challenge to external authority, forcing humanity to confront the terrifying freedom of self-creation, to render their own final verdict. Million law of gaining respect. You are the sole arbiter of your own worth. Every time you allow someone else to dictate your value, to set the terms of your engagement, or to define your boundaries, you are bleeding power. They don't just take a piece of you, they take the ability to judge yourself, leaving you hollow and reactive. Watch what happens when you let others pass their judgment on you, on your actions, on your entire existence. You become a puppet, forever adjusting your strings to their approval, forever chasing a validation that they will always withhold. They wait for you to flinch, to explain, to justify, and in that moment, they have already won. Here's how you reclaim that power. You refuse to participate in their courtroom. Your worth is not up for debate. Your intentions are not open for interpretation. Your decisions do not require their consent or understanding. What you allow, you teach. When you announce your aspirations, people will offer opinions, doubts, and unsolicited advice, all designed to subtly undermine your resolve. They will try to impose their limitations onto your vision. But if you quietly execute, if you build and conquer in silence, there's nothing for them to tear down, nothing to criticize because they had no part in its genesis. This is what Friedrich Nietzsche understood about the will to power. The ability to define your own reality, to overcome the herd's judgment, to create your own values. He taught that the highest individuals are those who can stand alone, charting their own course, unburdened by external approval. This is your final verdict, delivered to yourself and then to the world through your actions. Your consistent behavior, the unflinching delivery of consequences, the impenetrable shield of your silence, these are not just tactics, they are declarations. They are the physical manifestations of an internal resolve, so absolute, it requires no vocal defense. If you constantly seek approval, you will always be dismissed, seen as weak and pliable. People will sense your need and exploit it without hesitation. But if you act with an unshakable conviction, if you move with the quiet authority of someone who knows their own power, their judgment becomes entirely irrelevant. There is nothing to argue against, only a reality to accept. Aristotle argued that we become what we repeatedly do, that excellence is a habit, not an act. He understood that your consistent actions, not your words, cast the final vote on who you are. This isn't about proving anything to them. It's about solidifying your own identity through unwavering performance. The world will try to label you, to categorize you, to put you in a box that serves their comfort. They will offer you their opinions as if they were facts, their criticisms as if they were truth. Their fear of your self-sovereignty will often masquerade as concern. Your response to this is not defiance but indifference. You simply do not recognize their authority over your existence. Their verdict on you holds no weight because you have already rendered your own. Your internal validation is the only currency that matters. This absolute self-reliance, this silent declaration of dominion over your own life, is the source of all true respect. It creates a vacuum of authority around you that others are compelled to acknowledge. They sense the boundaries, the non-negotiables, the unyielding core. The final verdict belongs to you, and to you alone. Their judgment is nothing more than noise. Your self-sovereignty is absolute. Go now. Impose your will.